Over the past 4 years, I spent $40 million on Facebook ads. Today, I'm gonna give you a complete walkthrough on Facebook ads and set it up for our new brand, the Lemon Scrub. This is gonna be everything that you need to know to get the basic structure set up and get your first sale. It's been a long journey here. We've found the product, we've set up the website, we've shot the content. Let's jump into the Facebook ads. So the first step in setting up Facebook ads is we wanna go to business.facebook.com. We wanna create a business manager account. There's lots of ways that you can kind of create ad accounts, especially in the past, but creating something through Business Manager is going to ensure that you can have a successful scaling business in the long term. There's lots of different features in here. Once you're in Business Manager, you'll be prompted to set up a new account. You can also then come into settings and create a new ad account. So we can come down here, there's a drop down accounts, ad accounts. I have a few already in this Business Manager, but you can click create new ad account here. When you're setting up this ad account, you just really want to call it your brand name and possibly also the region as well in case you expand globally. So I'm going to do Lemon Scrub AU, and then we want to set it to the time zone for our city. And the reason why this is really important is for your ad set reporting and also the budget spend. The currency, you want to make sure that it's in the currency that you are receiving from your customers. You're going to need to spend the money that they are sending you on future ads. So I'm just going to click next there and set it up. We're going to put it within our Business Manager and click create. Now, if you are just getting started, there are a few things that I need to flag that probably you need to do that I might not need to do. Because I have some history on the platform, I have already got this set up. First step is make sure that you put your ID and all your business verifications within the Business Manager. This will help Facebook trust you and trust that you're not a scammer. The second thing is you need to start spending really, really slowly. You don't want to really ramp up the budget straight away. They're just going to think that it's a scam product. The next step is adding people. You just add yourself and you allow them to manage the ad account. And you click assign. The next step is adding your payment info. If you are an Australian resident, make sure that you put your ABN in this section because otherwise they're going to charge you an additional 10% or so. Now you've set up your ad account. The next step is to set up your pixel and start running ads. Now this really depends on what platform you're using to actually sell the product. We're using Shopify, so it's really simple. If you're using a different platform, just try to follow along. They should have a similar CAPI kind of setup. I'm gonna head over to Shopify here and I'm gonna go down to preferences. Once in preferences, you can see all of these pixels set up. So we've got our Google Analytics. So we come down here and we can click set up Facebook under Facebook pixels. Alrighty, now you can see a series of steps that you need to walk through. We're first gonna connect our personal Facebook to it. And continue. One thing to note here is I'm doing everything through my actual Facebook account. If you create a brand new Facebook with a fake name or something, you're gonna get banned straight away. They have a lot of bots that are doing this. The older your Facebook is, the more legitimate it is, the more you've complied with policy is really important. Now what you'll be prompted to do is select a business manager, which we've already set up within Facebook. I think you can set it up within Shopify, but I like to do the really complicated stuff through Facebook and then just connect Shopify and Facebook. We can click connect here because this is the business manager that I set up previously. You should only have one business manager unless you're really experienced. Now the next step is to make sure that you select the ad account that you also set up prior. View and accept terms and conditions. Now we can scroll down and select our Facebook page. In this step, because a Facebook page is quite simple to do, you can actually go down and click create new in this Shopify settings. I'm actually quite happy with that. Alternatively, if you do want to create a Facebook page through the Business Manager, you do it very similar to how we set up the ad account. You come to pages and you click add and create new page. I've already got mine set up, so I'm just gonna connect that. Now the next step is quite important. This is where Shopify really shines. So you've got this thing called CAPI set up, which is basically Shopify's response to the Apple privacy laws. It feeds a lot more data straight through to Shopify from Facebook about the users. You really want to set up maximum. However, there are a couple of privacy policy things that you need to read and set up prior. We're not going to do that today. I'm just going to set this up. The next step is setting up your pixel. Typically what will happen in this step is Shopify will try to select a pixel for you. Depending if you do have more ad accounts and pixels, this could actually be the wrong pixel. So you do need to take care with which one it's selecting. You need to make sure this pixel is the one that's linked to the ad account that you've selected. So I can actually click disconnect here. It'll give you a big scary warning, but it's okay. It's still gonna show me all the other pixels that are actually available within the ad account. So to find out which pixel is linked to the ad account, you can come into connected assets and you can see that this ad account is connected to this pixel. So this was automatically created when I was going through the setup process. Just so I know what it's about, I'm just gonna open this up. I'm gonna look at the pixel ID, which ends in 624. And I'm just gonna rename the 624 pixel up here to Lemon Scrub, official. Now what I can do is I can actually see this 624 here and I can connect that one, knowing that it's the right Lemon Scrub pixel. We're almost finished now. I know this stuff is boring. We're gonna get into the actual Facebook ad account soon, but it's really important we get the setup right from the beginning. We're gonna select the country that we're advertising to, which, because we're in a .com.au domain, we're gonna do Australia, and we're gonna finish the setup. And that's just how easy setting up, it's not that easy. Now, you really do need to check that this is set up properly. To do this, you need a Chrome extension called Pixel Helper. Install this in Chrome. Now, all you need to do is come into here. I'm gonna pin this because I use it a lot. There's Pixel Helpers for basically every single advertising platform. It's really good to check out, your competitors, what advertising they're using. I'm gonna come to my domain, which is trylemonscrub.com.au, and the pixel should show up here. Now, what is a pixel? A pixel is tracking the user's behavior on the website. It's tracking not only if they visit a page, but also if they do a certain action. What do I mean by that? So if I come into the collection page, watch this pixel tracker change. It's gone from page view, which was the initial homepage, to a view content. Now you can start to see all of this data that's coming through to the pixel. So like the product group, the content ID. This content ID matches the product in the back end of Facebook. So now what we've done is this user, which is me, Facebook knows that I have viewed this product, which is really important for retargeting later. I can show this product to the customer or products really, really similar. The other events include add to cart or purchase. When the person purchases the product or shows any intent like add to cart, it will then group that customer demographic. It'll start to cluster people that are very similar to that and start showing the similar ad that got that person to take that action. Basically, it's feeding a lot of data through, which allows Facebook to understand where to better spend your advertising budget to get more conversions. The Facebook algorithm is getting so good and the ad account is getting even simpler. Just 3 years ago, Facebook advertising was all hacks and tricks to get the absolute most out of it. This is why agencies would always sell people on their new tactic of how to do it. The beauty of Facebook and their goal is to make it simpler, which is great for you as a new beginner. I'm gonna show you a really simple way to set up Facebook ads to get your first sale, and also exactly how we set it up at the Oodie so that you can copy it. My prediction is that it will get even simpler over the next 1 to 2 years, and the basic setup is going to be all you need. Alrighty, so now we can jump back into Facebook and we can go into the ads manager. You'll hear a lot of people talk about the ads manager. We're going to go into create, and we're going to create our first ever campaign. Now this is probably the first place that everyone goes wrong. If you're in e-commerce and you're just beginning, the only thing you need to know is conversion campaigns. They've just recently changed their setup here to show sales, but you can see when you highlight it, it talks about conversions. All of these other forms of traffic, such as awareness, traffic, and engagement. When I first started Facebook ads, that is exactly what I was doing. I was basically running those ads, not understanding that Facebook was probably feeding me bot traffic or just traffic that had no intent to buy. By using conversions, Facebook has a lot of data for people with buying intent for that product. I'm gonna click on sales. The next step is naming your campaign. Now, I really do suggest that you get a strict naming convention in this beginning. This is because you're gonna be successful, so let's get it nice and clean in the ad account. This naming convention does not affect your ads in any way. This is for your internal use. I've seen people like say boobies and stuff. You can see here we've got these 3 layers. We've got the campaign, we've got the ad set, and we've got the ad. You can see here we've got 3 options with naming. We've got our campaign, we've got our ad set, we've got our ad. This is a good time to talk about what we're gonna set up in each of those. The campaign is a high-level objective. So for example, conversions. Depending on how you want to set up your account, there's different ways that you could name this. If you have lots of products, some people use their campaign to be that product specific. So for example, this would be lemon scrub cleaning, but we've also got the cleaning gloves. So we would do another campaign for those gloves. Other people structure campaigns so it's either cold audiences or warm audiences or repurchases, which is actually how we use it at the Oodie. This will make a little bit more sense when we start setting it up. The ad set is where we do a lot of our targeting. So we're deciding what demographic, the geographical location of our customers, the interest of our customers. And then finally, we've got the ad, which is where we're actually putting the content in. This feels really overwhelming when you first get started, but trust me, it is an amazing structure to work with. Facebook is the most powerful advertising platform, and it really is a thermometer for all of our brands. We cannot get the same return on investment across all of the other platforms. We're hoping that TikTok can get there one day to really support our business and diversify our traffic. The other traffic forms that you do have out there, without going into too much detail, is you've got native, you've got Snapchat, Pinterest, and Google. So for our naming convention, what we're going to do is we're going to actually set up a cold traffic campaign. So I'm going to start with the number 1, which means level 1, and I'm going to do conversions, lemon scrub cleaner. The next step is we're going to create an ad set, and I'm going to do this as broad Australia, which will make sense in a second. Finally, I'm going to do ad, which for now, I'm just going to do ad 1. Now, the main thing that you need to know on this campaign level, it is pretty simple once you've actually set up the initial objective, which we just did prior, is we've got this campaign budget optimization, which is referred to as CBO. If you're in any advertising forums or anything like that, watching YouTube videos, you may hear this terminology. The other alternative to this, which isn't talked about as much because it's actually just the default, what we're doing right now, is ABO, ad set budget optimization. Basically, the difference is campaign budget optimization is where all of the bidding is done on the campaign level. So you're gonna have, let's say, 5 ad sets, which we're setting up here. So we've got 1 ad set here, and Facebook is going to allocate budget where it thinks it's best. Ad set budget optimization is where we're gonna have a little bit more control on where the budget is spent to which audiences. Again, this is gonna get much simpler as we start spending ads. What we're gonna do today is we're just gonna ignore that and we're gonna go next. So now we're into the ad set. This is the fun part. So we've got some really cool stuff up here, which is like our audience. So this defines how many people we're actually marketing to. We can narrow this down, which we're about to do in a second. The main thing that I really wanna stress is coming into here and in your conversion event and going to purchase. There's a lot of different options that you can see here, such as add to cart. A lot of people talk that you need a large amount of data coming through the pixel for that conversion event for Facebook to advertise. That will actually prompt that to you. But I really like, even just when I'm starting a new brand, if I think the product's a winner, I'm just gonna use purchase straight out the gate. Now the next step is we need to determine a budget for this ad set. So this is a common question that I get asked on YouTube is how much should I spend on Facebook advertising? It really depends. Initially, if you're just getting started, you don't really know what you're doing, I would not be setting this higher than $10 a day. This is because chances are you probably made some mistakes with the content, you might make some mistakes with the ads, you're just learning. So really all we wanna do when we begin is do like something like 10 or even $5 for this ad set. That at least is gonna get some traffic to your site and you can start learning a little bit more. That being said, if your customer acquisition cost is going to be like $10, $20, you need to spend that much to get customers, you know, it does take a long while to actually start getting data through your pixels so that you can actually get some positive feedback loops as well. So there's kind of this fine line. Today, because I do actually know what I'm doing, I'm gonna do $20. Underneath daily budget, you've got this start date and end date. You really just want to use a daily budget because what we're gonna be doing is if we see success in the ad set, we're going to actually be ramping up that budget and leaving it indefinitely until it stops getting results. It'll make more sense, like everything, once we actually start running the ads. So we're just gonna leave that as is. Now we can come down to create new audience. Now in here is where you would get all your lookalikes and custom audiences, which we'll cover in the advanced episode. However, you can, select your country at this stage. Now this audience section here is the thing that's going to affect this audience definition on the right here. So if I was to change this to the United States, you can see that my audience goes from 18 or so million to 238 million. This is a much bigger audience size, much more people to market towards. Now, the ideal audience has changed since I started advertising 3.5 years ago. It really does vary. 238 million is too many people in my opinion, especially with such a low budget and kind of no data through the pixel. Once you get some momentum with the Facebook advertising, you might want to go that broad. Usually we use certain elements such as interest-based targeting to narrow this audience down. The good news is, because I'm marketing towards Australia today, I'm just going to come back in and I'm going to go Australia and I'm going to go people living in this location. You can see my audience is about 18 million to 22 million. That is absolutely fine. Facebook is smart enough to figure that out and get some good results with broad. This is one of those things that I was talking about before, that as we go along, I don't think that interest will really be necessary in the future. Facebook will know more than you could ever know. And then you can just basically target which region that you want, and it should convert accordingly. The other thing is age and gender. You might want to think that you understand, the exact age and gender that you've got for this product, but there are massive things that will surprise you in this area, and Facebook can figure this stuff out pretty quickly. So I'm just going to leave this again. See how easy this is? There's really not much that we actually need to change. Again, automatic placements versus manual placements. This is something that in the early days you were 100% doing because Facebook will just want to spend everywhere. I'm just going to leave it automatic today because we're using a conversion event. So if you are really wanting to test a video views or an engagement ad that we talked about initially, make sure that you are using manual placements, or at least tracking where Facebook is placing that ad, because Facebook's sole purpose, let's say if you used a reach ad, is to just get that reach as cheap as possible. That can be really low quality audiences and just doesn't really help you. Because we're using a conversion ad, Facebook is on our side. It wants to get us purchases as cheap as possible. So I want to let it place it wherever Facebook thinks that it can actually do that. So I'm going to leave automatic placements. And we've got this optimization and delivery, which I'm really excited to jump into in our advanced episode. There's things like bid caps and cost caps, all of those kind of things that a lot of people are using nowadays just to get a little bit more control on their advertising. This is going in line with telling Facebook more about your product and more about your margin so it can spend better for you. It's trying to work with you. By using all of these automatic placements and wide broad targeting, you're actually gonna make sure that you get a full picture about your product. So for example, we might find out that there's a demographic of 18-year-olds that actually really love cleaning that are using, on something on social media that we can then target. If by targeting this and not limiting Facebook, it's gonna find those demographics. We can then find out who's purchasing and why via post-purchase surveys. So now this is all set up, we can actually just click next and it's gonna take us to our ad. So now you can see our lemon scrub ad down here. We haven't actually created an Instagram, and you can see our Facebook page is looking pretty raw. This needs to be updated to our logo with a bit more content on this, and I don't think Lemon Scrub AU is a very good name. So to edit that, we can come into here, we can come into the page, and we can edit all of these details within here. We can create a username. Sometimes this requires at least 15 likes or so to actually do, but I think, so if I did Lemon Scrub Official, and you can see that it's rejected it. We just need to get a few likes to the page. Once we start spending, that's gonna be absolutely fine. We just need to change the profile picture, which you click down here and click edit profile picture, upload photo. So we're just gonna add the logo and crop that in a little bit, make sure it's centered. And we also wanna add a cover frame, so when people actually come to our page, it doesn't look like a scam. To do that, we click edit, upload photo. And ideally, what I would do next is create a few posts. So I'd kind of educate a little bit more around the product, so that when someone falls here, they would know that we're not a scam. But I'm just gonna click Save Changes. I'm gonna come back to my ads manager where I was creating the ad. I'm just gonna click Command R, which should refresh the page and make us look like a professional. You can see here, that's now the logo. We could maybe do the tub there, but I'm not going to at this stage. The other thing I do really wanna change is that page. To do that, we go into Settings. Now we've got our page name set up. We need to actually upload our content and launch our ads. So you can see here, they've auto-populated a catalog ad. We don't want to use that just yet. We're going to set that up in another form of advertising. What we're going to want to do is we're going to click here and we're going to click video. So you can see down here, they've actually set up a catalog ad for us. We want to use this ad, but not in this format. We're setting up a basic level 1 kind of conversion ad where we really want to show our videos. So we're going to go into here and we're going to remove dynamic formats and creative. And now what this is going to allow us to do is we're just going to click single image or video. And you can see it's really pushing our cleaning gloves, but we're going to come down here and we're going to change that. I'm going to delete this catalog and I'm going to add a video. I'm going to upload some of the videos that we shot in our content episode. Now you can see that these are all 4:5 ratio videos, which is really important because it takes as much real estate on people's phone as possible. This is mainly going to be placed on mobile, so make sure it's optimized for mobile. So I'm just going to use this video, which is the user generated content we filmed. So while that's uploading, we need to add the primary text. This is, when you're writing copy, make sure you understand the AIDA principle, get the hook, get people's interest, and then solve their problem. So we've actually already written this in the copywriting episode. So I'm just gonna pull that file up and copy and paste some of that copy. So this is what's called long tail copywriting. So it's quite long. You can also try really just short, brief copy as well. That works really well. Now, one thing that you need to understand is compliance within the account. So we've written this copy and we've mentioned the words freaks. And we're also calling out, characteristics of people. So the clean freaks are obsessed with this lemon scrub. That is genuinely flagged by Facebook a fair bit, and this may not run. So you can see in this copywriting, we've also got the, we're gonna put the link there as well, so that we're pushing people straight here. And I'm gonna put that emoji like so. Then we need to grab the headline as well. And then we've also got a description, which matters less. So you can see this is starting to populate through the preview. We can go to a different preview as well. So now we've filled in all the text. What we can actually do is just click advanced preview and we can see how it's gonna look on something like Facebook, Instagram, Story and Reels. So just have a look at that. Make sure your copy is right and the creative's right. We can change this to something like shop now, and we also need to add the URL. So I'm gonna just push them straight to the homepage here, copy and paste that so you make sure you get it right. Now the display link is actually this bit here. So if it hasn't updated properly, or if you've used a really long URL, you might want to just manually input your display URL here. But mine is obviously fine, it looks perfect. Now the only other thing that I do recommend, even when you're a beginner, is actually setting up a thumbnail. This is something that we weren't doing for a very long time. Someone called us out on it, and we're actually optimizing thumbnails and getting some really, really good results. So have a look at some competitors in the industry, set up a thumbnail that's really catchy, that's thumb stopping, and your performance should increase. To do this, all we need to do is come into here and click edit group, and we've got this thumbnail section here. You can see it's already on automatic. This is one thing that we're going to want to take away from Facebook. We might just want to use a bit more of a punchy kind of image, which I'm going to create now. All right, we're back. So I'm just going to click edit group and I'm going to click thumbnail. Because I've got these dimensions, my thumbnail needs to match that. We're going to change it from automatic placement to manual, upload the image. You want something that's really just kind of captivating. It's going to show the video that's about to play. You don't want it to just be completely clickbaity. It needs to be somewhat relevant. Now we've updated all of our creatives and we've set up the ad set and we've set up the campaign. We can actually click publish. The only other thing that we could do is set up an Instagram account similar to how we've set up the Facebook page and click connect account here. It's pretty simple nowadays with very little risk. I'm just going to publish this for now. When this shows up on Instagram, it's just gonna be my exact page name on Facebook. And there you have it. Now we've set up our first Facebook campaign. If that gets approved through terms and conditions, it will start running at the budget that we've set per day. Now, there are a few things that we do need to improve on this to get results. Firstly, we don't just want one ad in the ad set initially. There are two things that we can start testing in the early stages if you wanna get more advanced about it. We can test either our audiences, so we can duplicate this like so, and then we can come into here and we can change this audience. Maybe we want to do something like cleaning. You can see cleaning's popped up with quite a large audience section there. I can click that and it has narrowed my audience down here. What I can now do is I can change, because it's not a broad targeting, I can do cleaning Australia and then I can click publish. Then I can compare the results from the broad audience set versus the cleaning audience set. Because I'm using one consistent creative, it's going to be a really controlled test around what is going to perform better. That kind of rigid testing, although it is really effective at finding what works, isn't probably the most efficient thing when you're actually trying to launch a business. We're just trying to get Facebook to work so that we can actually reinvest the money and grow the business. We can use this reset ads manager whenever we make a mistake. So I'm just going to reset it, and that green ad set is going to be deleted. What's probably better use of our time is actually coming into this ad set that we've already set up, going to a broad audience. So everyone, we're trusting Facebook's going to find it, and we're actually going to add more ads to the ad set. So I'm just going to click the duplicate there, and I'm going to click here, and that's going to duplicate the ad within the ad set. So you're probably thinking, I've got 2 ads. Does that mean I'm going to spend double? No, the budget on the ad set level is still the same. So Facebook is going to allocate that budget as best as it can across those 2 ads. So you're going to get a little bit of insight on what Facebook likes better. Which one does it want to show to people? This isn't a rigid split test, but at least it's giving Facebook as much to work with as possible to increase your results. To change this ad, what I need to make sure that I do is change to ad 2. When naming the ad name, you really might want to use something really descriptive so you know when you're looking at the results what's working. So for example, that initial ad, I might have wanted to do something like, it's my mum cleaning, so it'll be mum cleaning. And then we want to name the ad based on the format of the ad it is, which will help you if you ever get to a large amount of reporting. So we're going to do UGC video, and then I'm also just going to say bathroom as well, because that's where it was. So trying to be as descriptive as possible. This one, we're going to come down here and we're going to delete this media. We're going to add the video exactly the way we did before. And we're going to name this Linda, which is the model's name, UGC video, and we're going to call it oven. That's going to upload. I'm going to use all the same copy, the same URL, like so. You can see that has now uploaded. It's a new piece of copy. I can click publish, and that'll go into the approval process as well. Using that duplicate feature, we can easily duplicate ad sets, campaigns, or ads to really make everything stay the same and just change kind of one variable. So now we've set up a really, really basic structure. If you followed along with me, what's gonna happen is the ad set's gonna start spending budget. You're probably wondering, what am I looking for? Obviously, you're looking for sales in your Shopify account, but I'm just gonna quickly show you what kind of metrics to look like in a real live ad account so that you understand how to optimize. So this is an ad account with some budget being spent. We've got the time section up here, which is really important. A lot of people say, where is my ad results? It's not spending. I used to do this all the time when I started. You really just need to come up here and change this to a time period. The next thing you can probably see is some of these metrics here, which is like website purchases, amount spent. They are really important metrics, but they're not absolutely everything you need. What you're going to want to do is come down here and you're going to click customize columns. This is going to give you the full scope of data that you need to look at in a conversion-based e-commerce campaign. We're going to delete a couple of these metrics here just to make things a little bit simpler. And now we've kind of got delivery, ad set name, bid strategy, budget, results, reach, and impressions. We're going to add all the metrics from the beginning of the funnel. So what does that mean? First step, a person sees your ad. Then they watch the ad. Then they click the ad. So we need to actually go clicks and we go cost per outbound click. Then the next step is they're actually going to view content on our website, which is that product page. We showed that on the pixel. We're going to go view content, and we're also going to look for the cost of the view content. The next step of the user journey is they're going to view the page, but then they're going to add the product to cart. So we're going to go add to cart and we're going to click cost of add to cart. Then they're actually going to initiate the checkout. The initiate checkout is when they're actually in the Shopify checkout. And then what they're going to do is they're going to purchase. So we're going to do cost per purchase. I'm also going to add value and total here. If you're really curious about this, what you can do is go onto your own store, look at the pixel helper, buy the product and watch it each step of the funnel. Then the final thing that we're going to want to add, which if you're in any forums, is ROAS. This is what everyone talks about. Your target return on ad spend is really important to understand when you first start your marketing. We're going to show our margin for this product and we're going to have a break-even ROAS. What this means is any ROAS underneath that, so return on ad spend, is going to be unprofitable for us. We want to get our ROAS higher than that thing. We want to get our ROAS higher than that metric because we've got all of these other costs. We've got the product cost, the freight cost, the courier cost. So we need to, that final customer acquisition cost is really variable, and this is what we're trying to optimize to make the most amount of profit per unit. So we're just going to uncheck a lot of these random things. They're really not necessary. And then we're going to save this as a preset. I'm going to call it convert YouTube. There are some more advanced metrics we're going to do, like thumb stopper ratio in the next video. I'm going to click apply, and now we're here. So we can go, let's get a decent amount of data. Let's go past 30 days. We can see our ad sets on the left here. Well, they'll probably be blurred for privacy on the product. And then we can see the amount we've spent, the amount that it's costing to get a click outbound. So any link, any button, the cost per add to cart, the initiate checkout, how many purchases you get, and also the ROAS. So we're getting about a 7.6 ROAS on this product, which is really, really good. And the cost per purchase is only $18. It's quite a high value product, which you can see here. So this will give you all the metrics and kind of make you understand, if you're profitable with running your Facebook ads. To recap, this ad set here, because it is broad targeting, is actually going to target everyone in Australia. We can obviously narrow the targeting down by interest, but we can also narrow the targeting down by behavior. So our pixel is tracking what people are doing on the website. So if someone has landed on our website, add to cart, we can actually target those people. This is what's referred to as retargeting. While this ad set is going to retarget those visitors, a very common thing to do within Facebook marketing is actually to separate the cold and the hot. So we're actually going to force the budget to spend more on retargeting than Facebook thinks. There are some Facebook people out there that don't recommend any form of retargeting. They want Facebook to do absolutely everything. We definitely use retargeting within all of our campaigns. And to do this, all we do is click duplicate, and then we're just going to duplicate here. Now what we need to do is we need to change the naming convention, because level 1 is people that have never heard of us. Level 2 are people that have taken action. That action could be visiting the Facebook, liking our Facebook, following us on Instagram, going to our website, adding to cart, purchasing. All of those are great retargeting audiences. You can even target people that have watched your video in a certain amount of duration. So I'm going to change this to 2. You can see that's adjusted, which is great. I'm going to remove the copy, and I'm just going to click publish. Now I've clicked publish, so that will actually go live. It's okay because we're not spending. We do need to make some more changes. If you're worried about it spending by the time you edit it, you probably should turn it off there. So I can come in here, come down here, and we're going to change the ad set name because we are now targeting a different audience. So I can actually change this to website visitors, and I can come down here, make sure that there's no interest because we just want the website visitors that have visited our pixel, and we can click create new audience, custom audience, and you can see all of these sources. These are all amazing things to target. You can go to website, and we've got our pixel here, which is our source where we're pulling this data from. You can change this to 180, and you can name this website traffic 180 days. And you can click create audience. Now that's automatically going to create that audience, and it's going to place it in here to be targeted. We've just now set up our first retargeting campaign. With retargeting, because we've only just set up this store, chances are there's no traffic going to the website. So it's not going to be able to spend the full budget because there's no audience to target. This is why you can actually set up retargeting, 1, 2, 3 weeks into starting your store. You don't need to set it up right away, especially considering that level 1 traffic that we've kind of set up is already retargeting. As you progress and you really start to clear those segments, in the level 1 traffic, you may want to start excluding these audiences. So people are in those set buckets and your ad sets aren't actually competing against each other and bidding against each other. It sounds complicated, but it's actually not too bad once you get used to it. I'm a big fan of just keeping things simple initially and doing the initial structure that I just showed you before with no targeting until you feel really comfortable within the ad account. The other form of retargeting that we can create that is really, really effective, even with smaller amounts of products in your store, It's really effective when you've got hundreds of SKUs, but we can just come in, create under our retargeting, and we're just gonna call this catalog. Now this is like a dynamic feed that really customized based on what the actual person's doing. We can come into here and you can see that it's automatically selected at this stage, and you can see catalog here. So this is the actual Shopify catalog. You can see the 2 products. So if anyone goes to this store, they're gonna get served this ad, which I'm sure if you've been on Facebook, you've seen before. It generally pops up really quickly after you've viewed the store, and you can swipe through and see the relevant products. Next episode, we'll get into how to optimize your ad sets to get the best possible cost per purchase. If you're just getting started, one thing I do recommend is go watch my video, watch this before starting drop shipping. Even if you're not drop shipping like we're not today, it is really important to understand Facebook bans and the limitations of the platform. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. In a couple of weeks, we'll dive into the data. Hopefully we'll have a couple of purchases. We can optimize the ad account better. We can add some software and some attribution software, optimize content, and start building a bigger business. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.